Come with us on a journey into the future to see how we'll be living in 2025. It's closer than you think. Johnny DeMarco knows his autopilot is a safer driver than he is, so he can take a nap without worrying. In 2025, people trust intelligent systems more than themselves. The digital chauffeur has 20/20 vision. It's constantly linked to satellite positioning and sensors in the road, and has never gotten a ticket. Johnny's 53, but gene therapy means he's in better shape than his father was at 40. As security checks his ID, he's set to enjoy another 20 years of working life. His home is high-tech, but the technology is kept firmly out of sight. Voice-activated systems are hidden everywhere and always ready to help.
Make me a coffee.
Built in 2020, it's an attractive and versatile house, ideal for a family of 4.
How's your day been?
Good, how was yours?
Oh, very good.
Gianni's a civil engineer. He grew up in England, but moved to the US after meeting his wife, Sarah.
Some nature program.
Their daughter, Jenny, is 18. She's been obsessed with computers since she was 4. She plans to study computer science in college. Her younger brother, Tom, doesn't believe technology can solve everything. With global warming speeding up, all he cares about is saving the planet. Gianni's back in time to catch a 3D link with Sarah.
Hey guys.
She's an architect, away on a business trip in Australia. She's also a tele-immersion junkie. Tele-immersion means distant friends and family can chat face-to-face without leaving home. Because the images are three-dimensional, users feel they're really in the same space. Nothing has ever made the world seem so small. The 20th century was the age of the telephone, but the 21st century belongs to tele-immersion. It's now so cheap to use, we take it for granted. A generation ago, the idea of sharing space with someone halfway around the world was something people could only dream about. As a young geek in the early 1980s, Jaron Lanier invented the concept of virtual reality. 20 years later, he was a key player in tele-immersion research.
Well, the motivation for creating tele-immersion was in part because we thought it would be a good thing for humanity to have an option, something other than air travel, to feel like they're with people at a distance. But there's another reason, which is we were building the most advanced network that had ever been built, and there was absolutely no application that existed that would stress that network. It was sort of too powerful to be tested. And tele-immersion is absolutely the worst thing you can do to a computer network. It's pure torture to digital equipment.
This is not quite ready for Christmas yet, is it?
No. Well, look, this is very experimental.
Of course.
The torture came from forcing computers to create instant 3D moving images.
You have to capture the people as full three-dimensional beings and transmit them as moving three-dimensional sculptures so that they can move around each other with their own proper points of view and with a sense of shared space.
But I'm having lunch.
There are a variety of techniques to do that, but the one that we decided to use involved having a multitude of cameras and comparing what each camera sees using mathematical techniques to derive what three-dimensional reality must have caused the differences in perspective to each camera. And so the very smallest number of cameras we can use for just one person at a desk is about 7, and for a high-performance application such as networking together surgeons, then we need maybe about 60 cameras. You might say tele-immersion is a grown-up version of virtual reality. It's not so much fantasy worlds, but it's the real world with subtle adjustments.
Tele-immersion is only part of the story. For Jenny DeMarco, the ultimate life-changing gadget fits neatly on her belt. A tiny, powerful computer with an eyeglass display. It acts as her personal organizer, assistant, database, and online link wherever she goes. Thanks to the global wireless network, she's always in touch. Voice activated, it can get any data she wants from the net instantly.
Give me a downtown map. I see you, Sam. Be with you soon.
Back at the turn of the 21st century, prototype wearables were bulky and temperamental. In 2002, Rich Duvall was among the pioneers of wearable computing. His vest concealed a powerful, if unreliable, prototype. He also had to be patient with people who mistook the eyeglass display as a high-tech aid for visual disability. But it was a start.
We need wearable computers, or rather we need good wearable computers, because right now we are inflicted with a plague, if you will, of bad wearable computers. Pagers, cell phones, text messaging devices are all computers, and these devices are not only a source of information and provide useful services to us, but they're also a major distraction.
To avoid unwanted interruptions, a wearable must know what the user is doing and where they are. MIT's prototype had motion sensors and GPS. That worked fine outdoors, but indoors, movement was tracked by infrared sensors. The best thing about modern wearables for anyone with a bad memory is the way they can put names to faces. MIT's system got there first, displaying data off colleagues' infrared ID tags.
One of the important things a wearable can do is not only communicate information to me, but allow other people to access information in a way that allows me to maintain my privacy.
It was only possible to launch a cost-effective satellite network for wearables when space tourist flights started taking freight. The reusable shuttles that take visitors to the Space Hotel slash the cost of space transportation. But the greatest techno-revolution of all took place in the home. In 2025, people live with computers that understand their needs and feelings. The DeMarco smart home computer reads Gianni like a book.
Saying this, but your stress level is high, and you haven't been sleeping well. Shall I make an appointment with your doctor?
No, it's okay. Jenny's going to be hearing about her application from Rowling soon. I'm just trying to figure out how to finance her tuition.
Looking at your portfolio, I'd say it was time to sell Microsoft.
Jenny had many virtual friends when she was a child, so it's no surprise that her most trusted confidant is the house computer. She chose its face, named it Meg, and set it to display minimal emotion.
Do you think Rowling College is right for me? Would I maybe be better off at Caltech?
Did you know Professor Figgis?
Jenny also programmed Meg to age with her. It's so human-like, she sometimes forgets it's a machine.
Published more articles in Scientific American. You should apply to Rowling, but you would not see so much of Sam.
What do you think about
Giving computers a face opened a whole new dimension to the relationship between man and machine. Gianni and Sarah worried about the time Jenny spent with virtual friends during childhood and think that caused tension between her and Tom. But Rosalind Picard hoped affective computers would improve the way people relate to each other.
If the computer responded to us with emotional sophistication, then we might actually get better at our emotional skills. We might learn to be better at showing empathy for one another.
Don't blame him. He's just trying to get closer to you.
In about 25 years' time, you won't think anymore about the sensors that your computer has. You will just interact with it very much as if it was another creature that can see and hear and understand what you're trying to communicate to it.
Meg, you've seen what's going on between Tom and Jenny. Should we worry?
It is not serious. Humans have
The question is sort of how far can you push that? Will that go to the point where people will prefer these entities to other people? Will it be the case that your computer is better at listening to your feelings at the end of a hard day than your spouse? Well, that's not too hard to believe for some people.
on getting into college.
Sarah values Meg's data analysis, but not her company. She prefers to use computers for communicating with real people. That's why she uses Tele-immersion so much. Apart from letting her reach out to people halfway around the world without leaving home, nothing beats a face-to-face chat. Tele-immersion gives her the best of both worlds. As an architect, she also finds it's a great way to share design concepts with distant colleagues.
I think it's great.
There was never any doubt that our homes would get smart. Ambient intelligent networks, or Ambitels, are the 21st century alternative to a house full of servants.
Good morning. You asked me to wake you at 7 a.m. so you can prepare your 10:30 meeting with Ivan Cooper.
Ambitels can track and identify people anywhere in the house because everyone wears a tiny radio tag. Johnny's is embedded in a pendant. After he's been to the bathroom, it only takes a few seconds for the system to analyze his urine. It then displays the result and relays any abnormal data to the medical center. Ambitel takes care of the little things around the home. As soon as Gianni wakes up, it turns the heat up and puts the coffee on. It tracks him as he gets to the kitchen and turns the lights on. All he has to do is pick up a mug and pour his coffee. When he spills it, he doesn't need to clean up. The Moppet does that. This kind of robot assistant is an add-on to the Ambitel's network of intelligent wireless appliances that makes life so easy. Ambitel has made our lives easier in many ways. We no longer have to worry about basic food shopping. Tiny radio ID tags embedded in packaging means the system always knows what's in the cupboard. When groceries run low, it orders a delivery from the local supermarket.
Yeah, the system ordered them yesterday.
Emil Arts foresaw other possibilities.
For instance, that you have some home flow management system in your kitchen that really knows about all the activities that the family and the home would like to do. And your kitchen could simply support that by showing you the agenda and the calendar of certain days. And that is just a very simple example of a home that would support you as a butler would do in the last century.
Oh, it's been confirmed.
But even in 2025, the best solutions are often low-tech. Take the DeMarco's eco-friendly house. Water is heated by solar panels, while a bed of moss on the roof provides extra insulation. A generation back, some people believed good design could change our lives in ways technology couldn't. Fred Dust was an architect who worked with product developers IDEO. He believed we'd never let high-tech gadgets control our homes.
I hate to be a bummer, but I really don't think we're going to be seeing, these seamless white spaces that where everything kind of pops up for you. It's just people don't want to live in that. At present, when people think about the home of the future or anything of the future, a lot of that is focused around the concept that it's technology-driven. But the fact is that nobody's really looking at the way people really use space. They're just saying, well, let's load this with technology. That's, quite frankly, the reason why these visions are just visions and not reality.
Smells great.
Watermelon?
One of the things I think that is going to happen is, as technology becomes more seamless, you're going to have simpler spaces.
Gianni and Sarah both do a lot of work from home. Specialist software transforms the Ambitel system into a professional consultant that helps Gianni with structural design. It's also a tireless personal assistant, telling him what the rest of the family is doing whenever he needs to know.
Could you inform her that we have to leave in about 10 minutes?
There are pros and cons to having computers that always know where we are. Constant video surveillance has helped cut crime, but insurance companies won't cover theft and accidental damage without verifying the computer's security files. In 2025, the world trusts machines far more than people. Tom hates all this. He's not alone in thinking that high-tech surveillance is a threat to civil liberties and won't use a wearable computer because he doesn't want Big Brother eavesdropping on his communications. Some people were questioning our relationship with technology long before he was born.
I think more and more people will react against technology and try to carve out existences that either have a more subtle relationship to technology or completely ignore it altogether.
In 2025, even a technophobe like Tom finds a use for the Ambitel system.
Meg, can you contact the neighbors asking they place orders?
He finds Meg's face creepy, so his dealings with the computer are audio only. But it only takes a moment to get Meg to ask the neighbors to place orders for his homegrown organic produce. Tom is willing to use any high-tech solution that keeps him self-sufficient and eco-friendly. He likes the way computers help create neighborhood networks, but he still hasn't found a better means of transportation than his bike. In 2001, an Italian company called SKF came up with the first drive-by-wire concept car. Styled by Bertone and with no mechanical link between the driver and wheels, it was way ahead of its time. It gave the designers far more freedom, since the control column could be flipped for left or right-hand drive, and there were no pedals. Apart from making cars safer, in the first years of the century, auto scientists started to develop technology to make drivers safer. The number of older people behind the wheel was set to rocket by the 2020s, because millions of baby boomers would reach old age, determined to defy the years and stay on the road. The man who did most to keep seniors rolling safely was Joe Coughlin, along with a VW Beetle named Miss Daisy.
The research that we're doing here is asking the question, not what is an older driver, but how can technology make it possible for people to remain mobile, remain active as long as possible? The two areas that we're going to see the biggest progress in for older drivers will include, I just crashed, will include improvements of technology on vision to help older drivers drive both at night and reduce glare during the day or at night. And then the second part is being able to anticipate when a collision is going to happen, trying to help the older driver extend their ability to perceive distance and time to collision.
Joe Coughlin also realized a wireless world would create new risks for people behind the wheel.
The car is going to be a platform of not just mobility, but even more than it is today, a platform of lifestyle for an older adult. The challenge is that as the car gets more accommodating and provides more services, how do we make sure that it remains safe?
The communication system on Johnny's car connects with his wearable computer, but only offers information when the road is clear.
You've had 3 face mails in the last hour. Only one from Sarah needs your attention.
Okay,
Radio ID tags and voice recognition mean the vehicle always knows who's driving and automatically remembers their preferences for music, temperature, and food. That's also true at home. Every choice we make about entertainment helps the Ambitel refine our preference profiles. When Tom barges in, she only has to raise her hand to increase the volume enough to drown out his rant about her musical taste. But the Ambitel chose the music according to Sarah's mood and preferences, rather than Tom's. Personal playlist systems have been around for almost 20 years, but their potential first became obvious in 2001, when Philips showed off a prototype device called Easy Access.
Because there is speech recognition, it will identify you and it will start activating your personal preferences. If you ask for new content, it will go to the internet and it will get content that's suitable to your taste. And it can do that for any member of the family because it's a personalized system. Genre rock. Genre rock.
Genre rock.
Artist the Beatles.
Artist Beatles.
Melody.
Melody.
Fa, 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 fa.
Boris was no Caruso. The cleverest thing about his baby was the way it could identify melodies, even if Boris sang them.
Songs. You'll have the situation in the future that when you have a melody line, you heard the song somewhere on the radio, but you cannot remember the title of that song. You'll just hum that song to the system. It will get that song somewhere from the internet, wherever it is, and it'll play that song for you. Add song to playlist.
The latest software agents make countless daily choices for Gianni and Sarah about anything from music to groceries. This frees up more time for them to relax together.
You feeling a bit stressed?
No, things are going pretty well.
These days, the only live TV most people watch are newscasts. Large polymer LED displays mean we watch ever bigger and sharper screens. A thin layer of polymers can turn patio doors into widescreens or even lights. See-through screens on the patio doors can change the view from the DeMarco's house. In the morning, Sarah merely tells the Ambitel to open them up.
True view, please. No.
If the weather is lousy, she simply calls up a sunnier scene. Jenny loves being immersed in virtual worlds. Her wearable can conjure up any environment she wants to inhabit, even when she's really in her bedroom. Her shoes, eyeglass display, and finger rings contain tiny sensors that transmit her exact movements. This data is inserted into whichever virtual world she wants. 25 years ago, scientists were exploring a whole range of ways for turning people into digits. In those days, it took a multitude of cameras to translate physical movement into virtual space. Joe Paradiso's team at MIT Media Lab wanted a simpler approach. They put their money on movement sensors and radio transmission and came up with a tiny unpowered device that could transmit information about movement.
We built this little wireless sensor here that is very, very cheap. It's got this little piezoelectric transducer here that measures essentially motion. Beat with it and sending a little RF pulse out. It's picked up by the receiver, and we can map that into whatever kind of content we want. Right now it's making a simple little bump.
The team also invented a pair of sneakers that transmitted 16 channels of data from different parts of the foot. These were the first steps toward the non-intrusive immersion systems we use in 2025. Jenny DeMarco is one of the new generation. But just when she was desperate to keep in touch, her wearable malfunctioned.
It broke this morning.
For the first time in years, she wasn't plugged into anything.
You haven't heard.
Heard what?
You got into college.
The family's reaction is entirely human. Their happiness is beyond the understanding of the house computer, because no matter how good computers get at recognizing emotions, Meg can never experience the love that bonds people. Speaking as a computer, I can confirm that.
Well, you may be going off to study computers, but there's no doubt computers will never enjoy champagne like we do.
I'll be working on that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
In 2025, computers help humans with almost every aspect of daily life, and even offer valuable personal advice, while freeing up the time to do things only humans can do. Looking further ahead, the bond between man and machine can only get stronger.